Welcome to Decaf, to be considered of Tennessee. I'm Taylor, and this is Stephanie, and we are having Girls' Day because Mark is still on vacation, if you can believe it. He keeps sending me photos from Italy of like pasta and pizza and wine, and I'm like sitting on the couch eating a bowl of cereal, and it just feels wrong. It feels
You're
so
on the Amalfi Coast right now, and I am so jealous.
I'm so jealous. They
For your
are
vacation, Mark.
Yes,
Well
they are
deserved.
having the time of their lives, which they should. They're newlyweds, have a great time. But I can't wait until I'm a newlywed and take a 3-week vacation and leave him to do all my work too. That's gonna be, he's gonna hate that. He's gonna hate it. So Stephanie, okay, for those of you who don't know, Stephanie and I are not only co-workers, but we're very good friends. And we talk pretty much all day, every day, starting in our group text first thing in the morning. We are chatting. And
It's my
Stephanie,
Wordle. Like we all do Wordle, so that's how we start the morning. But go ahead.
the Wordle wakes us all up in the morning. And then my favorite second topic in the group text is when Stephanie gets pissed about something. I love it. I love it. And this week, or the last 2 weeks, I mean, honestly, the last few months, the topic that has been getting your rage has been the formula shortage, and rightfully so. Like, this is a disaster. And Stephanie, from your perspective, if you don't know, Stephanie's got 2 little ones, one that was still on formula up until recently, might still be. I don't know if y'all did end up switching her to milk, but a very little one who needs baby formula and nutrients, and there's none to be found. So Stephanie, talk us through the issue and your grievances and what you're seeing on Twitter and from talking to other moms.
First of all, welcome to the party, everybody, because I have been complaining about this since, I don't know, December of last year. We normally, so I have Molly, who is 9 months old. She is formula fed baby. I did breastfeed her in the beginning. She drinks 32 ounces of formula a day. So I was not able to keep up with production. And so we pretty much from about a month old have been supplementing with formula. And then eventually, as her appetite grew and grew, my supply dipped and dipped. And we switched over entirely to formula. And so we had it, I try to save money every way you can. So we had it on subscribe and save on Amazon. And I do that with diapers and wipes. And I did it with formula and things for the kids, because you can save like 15 to 20%, which why not? You have to buy them anyway every month. So you might as well save money on it. And so we had it on this like automatic rotation. And I noticed in December, or actually like the end of November, beginning of December, that they were saying that it was out of stock for 1 week. And I was like, that's weird, but okay. And so we couldn't really substitute, because if people don't know, like it's not easy to substitute a formula one for the other because of the protein that your child is used to, the milk protein. There's different ones in different types of formula. So if your child has a aversion to one or an upset stomach from one, you can switch to a different milk protein, which is why you see so many different varieties on the shelves, right? Because they all have different formulations.
Their poor little tummies.
Yeah. So Molly is on like the most generic one. So Robert had an issue with like I would say like a mild dairy allergy. And so he was on a special kind of formula. Molly never had that problem. So she's on like the basic, most generic kind of formula that you could possibly buy. And so that happened 1 week in December at the beginning. And I was like, okay, we can't substitute it. So I'm going to just go to the store and buy some at Kroger. Then I noticed like we couldn't find it in the grocery store. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. And so I ended up texting my mom, who lives in Mount Juliet, and she had drove around to like a couple different places, like a Walmart, a Target, a Kroger, and she found a container for me. And so I was like, okay, no problem. Well, then the next week came and it was fine, like normal, like they got it back in stock. And then by the end of December, it was like, this is out of stock and we don't know when we're getting it back. And I was like, oh, so like they canceled my subscribe and save like completely. And they were like,
I did not know this part of the story.
No, they were like, sorry, you can't get your formula here on Amazon anymore. So I, in a little bit of a panic, texted my family and I was like, if you are anywhere, please go and search for formula. I don't want to buy too much of it because I don't want to take from other moms, but like I need at least like a month's supplies, because every can only lasts 10 days. So when I'm like, oh, I have 3 cans left, that's 30 days. And I was getting down to the point where like I was on my last can and had like days left, like 3 days left. And so my family came through and they found a bunch of different formula, mainly my mom. So shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
Way to go, Leslie. So, you know, moms, grandmas, and this is a really sensitive subject. Yeah, they come through.
And didn't Kara find some like in Florida or something?
Yeah, so this is crazy. So then my mom goes through all the trouble of getting me like 4 cans of formula. I'm like, okay, I'm set for a while. I'm not going to worry about it. And then February comes and the Similac recall. So I go into my cabinet in my pantry where the formula is, and I'm looking at the bottom of the containers that I have. They're all recalled, including the open container that I was currently feeding Molly, where 2 children had died, you know, supposedly from that that type of formula. So all of my formula was recalled. I shipped it back to Similac. I had to wait for a check in the mail from them to reimburse me. But in the meantime, I had no formula.
Nothing.
So thankfully, our CEO's wife, who I'm good friends with, Kara, she was traveling to Florida with her mom. She went and found me 4 cans of formula in Florida at Publix and flew it back in her suitcase for me, which, you know, amazing friends. And so we were fine for a little while. And then now I'm back to like crowdsourcing. I went on Facebook. I traded with a mom on Facebook for a can of formula. I had one that we tried to switch Molly to that didn't work. That was unopened can. And then she had an unopened can that I needed. And so we just kind of switched.
Make a trade.
She came to the house and we just like switched it up and talked about how insane this is. So
it is insane.
So I say welcome to the party, and I'm glad it's getting the attention that it deserves. But like moms have been struggling with this probably since the end of last year.
Yeah. And what I think is really insane, and I talk about this all the time, but usually with me, it's like beauty products. Yeah. The US regulates so many things differently than Europe does. Europe tends to regulate things more strictly. The countries in Europe do. The US does not, but the FDA thinks that they control everything. And so up until now, Stephanie and I, we talk about beauty products and all these things. You get the European kind to make sure it's cleaner. It's not, doesn't have as many chemicals. And now we're seeing the same thing with formulas. The New York Times did an article just the other day about how baby formulas from European countries are just as healthy, just as good, but they're not regulated by the FDA, I guess, because the FDA wants to keep things American. I don't really know why they wouldn't just go ahead and do this, but it's illegal to import formulas from Europe, but people are finding a way around it.
It is so crazy. And there's also these high tariffs on any kind of formula coming in. And I just like, what? And why has it taken people so long to figure out? Like at first we were like, moms were going on social media saying like, I can't find formula. And then the formula companies were saying, we have the supply. It's just the shipping's not working. The like supply chain's not working. And then come to find out like, no, there's like an actual shortage. So the federal government should be doing everything they can to remove regulations and red tape that is holding up any type of supply getting to moms, because it is getting desperate out there.
Like get these babies some food. I saw the other day, another thing about babies is that diapers, and I didn't know this, diapers in most states are taxed as a luxury item. And they're not. Yeah, exactly. But everything is taxed like luxury items for babies. But all of these things that the government is doing to get in the way of moms being able to provide for their kids, just open up the market. If we don't have the formula here, get it from, I mean, we have no trouble doing that with oil, do we?
No.
We buy oil from other countries. Don't get me started on that. But
honestly, with COVID and everything else, like if you have a friend that's a mom that has had a baby anytime really, but especially since 2020, like go up to her the next time you see her and just give her a hug and say like, it's going to be okay, because it has been wild. It's been a wild ride into motherhood and being a parent. In general, that is a hard transition for a lot of people, but during the past 2 years, it's been double.
It's insane. Well, we're going to find you some formula. I'm going to Anniston next weekend and I'm going to look at the Winn-Dixie there.
I have 2 cans left. So I have approximately 20 days worth of formula. Molly is 9 months old. So she really needs to get to that year mark. So almost there. I know that also with all this attention probably comes a little bit more of a panic for people. Mm-hmm. So they're tending to overbuy whatever they see. And I don't blame them for that, but it's going to make it even tougher, I think, for mamas to get the food for their babies.
Yeah. And there's things that the federal government could do. We always say the government can't solve every problem, but if the government would enable the market to solve the problems, then we would be cruising.
Open the floodgates. Let it in.
The formula, bring it all in. You just mentioned a second ago, it's been hard to parent during COVID, and we've been seeing over and over school closures. I mean, I'm thankful that you've had babies during COVID so that you didn't have to deal with the virtual schooling and the masked up kids and all that kind of stuff. But for the ones who have older children, the pandemic has wreaked havoc on their social abilities, their ability to get educated, all of the things that are fundamental to a child's well-being and growth. We actually wrote a study about that recently. It was released this week about how the pandemic highlighted the need for more choice, because ultimately, you can chip away at little things in education and say, well, we don't like this curriculum, or we don't like the style of teaching, or we don't like one thing or another. But the only thing that's truly going to solve problems holistically in education is giving parents a choice and giving parents accountability. And that's what we saw during the pandemic. Stephanie, as the kind of like, Ron is the head of the policy team, but you are the mother over all of that. I don't know about that. I don't like how I said that, but you're kind of over the whole policy shop at Beacon. And we've had a lot of these discussions about school choice. The Beacon Impact side worked a lot on it. Beacon Center side's been working a lot on it. And I think that the findings in the report are really interesting. And I'm curious about what some of your takeaways are when we start talking about how the pandemic influenced school choice.
Well, this is one of a couple of different reports that we're planning on releasing on this topic. There was $189 billion pumped into K-12 education from federal funding, which is way over what they used to spend on it. It's about 3 times as much as what the normal spending is annually on K-12 education. And so with that, many school systems got an influx of cash, and it was meant to really reopen schools and also provide tutoring and other tools, summer school, that would help kids who have had or suffered from learning loss during this time period where there were shutdowns and virtual school and maybe not the best accountability or ability to educate the children.
Yeah, so remedial needs. These kids need this remedial education to catch up.
They just need to catch up. And so, a ton of money was pumped into it. And whenever we see a ton of money pumped into anything from the government, Beacon's radar goes off like a little flag gets raised. And we want to know what happened to it and how it was spent and what good it did. Because, if we're spending this much money in tax dollars, then it better deliver a result, right? It's too soon for us to tell if it did or not. But we did see some really innovative things from states. A lot of states created choice programs for parents out of it. A lot of them pumped it into tutoring. And then some of them, we haven't spent the money at all yet. And so this is the first report where we're talking about what some states did with some of that money. We'll have a follow-up report that's going to be kind of like what the top 10, like how schools spent money, federal COVID money, and where that money went to. And I think people are going to be surprised what happened to that money.
Yeah, absolutely. I have in my notes 22 states expanded or opened new school choice programs. That's almost half of the states in the US. Like, that's a really good number. And 2021 truly was the year of school choice. Now, did that apply to everyone? No. And that's some of the interesting findings you can find in that report on our website. It actually, my eyes kind of glaze over when I read reports a lot of times, but I actually really this one was a great report, not our reports, but other people's reports. I kind of like,
I was going to say all of our reports are
really interesting, but when you go through and read other organizations' reports, sometimes I catch myself snoozing, but all of our reports have been incredible because Ron, this is something that our team really cares about. And so Ron and Jason, when they dig into this stuff, this is something that we all genuinely care about. We all went to school. We all, I think, either have kids or hope to have kids at some point and care about the education system in Tennessee, and we all pay taxes. So this is something that really hits all of us, and it's something that we really care about. And so if you're interested in how states did spend money or didn't spend money, and some of the new opportunities that came from that or didn't come from that, definitely check out the report. I don't want to spoil it, but there's definitely some really good stuff in there. And 2021 was definitely the year of school choice for some states, not all, but some. And hopefully with our shining the light and keeping a lookout on these things, 2022 could be another year of school choice, maybe 2023. But COVID's about to surge again. I just saw on Twitter that there's surging in New York, and we can only hope that they don't respond, schools and governments don't respond the same way they did before, because we allowed the government to shut down our economy for 3 weeks, a month, like fully shut it down. And now we're facing formula shortages, inflation, supply chain issues, everything, because when you're built on a well-oiled machine, you can't get out from under it.
Yeah. And it really does hurt small business. There was a stroller company that I wanted to buy. I need a double stroller for the kids because
it's time.
Few different single strollers. And so I was looking at double strollers, and I was like looking at different rates and like what the best deal was. And I finally found one that I really wanted. And I go to saved up money, go to purchase it, and they're out of stock, like all of them, completely out of stock. And they're like, we don't know when we're going to get it back in stock because of the supply chain. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I was going to how many times has that happened where somebody was about to get a sale on something from a small business and they just don't get it because they don't have the product to sell.
Yes.
And how frustrating that must be for them, but also frustrating for the people trying to buy the products too.
Exactly. And then those are the consequences.
And the supply chain, I think, are two of the biggest issues facing our country right now. And that also includes the formula shortage in that.
Well, let's talk about inflation then. I saw this morning, and Suzanne and I were actually talking because her dad is elderly, and so she keeps up with Social Security payments. And this morning a story broke that said that Social Security payments, every year they get a cost of living adjustment. We learn about this in elementary school. Cost of living adjustments with Social Security and government payouts and things like that. And every year it's minuscule. It's like 1% to 2%. Mm-hmm. This year, it is set to potentially go up 8.5%, which is the largest increase in a cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits since 1981, since before I was born.
Yeah, I believe it.
That is wild. And it breaks my heart for a few reasons. One, that these elderly people on fixed incomes are having to live through this rapid inflation and cut back their spending, but they're already every single old person that I know that is on fixed benefits is very frugal. They pinch those pennies, they stretch it out, they make it work, and they're having to live through this without the help that they need.
I mean, what a hard time to retire, right? Like
impossible.
Right. My mom thought you would be spending is just shot out the window. I mean, even when you go to the grocery store, Holt and I sat down, we did a budget the other day, like we always do. And we went through everything, and we were like, wow, we are spending a lot more at the grocery store than we used to. And not because, Robert eats a lot, but not that much, right? So it's just, everything's gotten more expensive, gas, groceries, everyday things. And we're not talking about luxury items. We're talking about everyday things.
Yeah, I'm by no means buying luxury items these days, but even my little spinach leaf salad that I eat every day around 2 p.m., the spinach has gone up $2 at Publix. That's insane.
We used to get a chuck roast that we would put in the crock pot because it was a cheap, easy meal that we would eat all day while we were working. And it was cheaper. So but now it's the price of getting steak. So you might as well
get steaks.
I'm oh, my money saving meal is no longer a money saving meal anymore because it's $30 for a chuck roast.
Yes. Well, I signed up. I have a Sam's Club membership and I go there for gas. I signed up for MAPCO rewards so that I can get their reward price. I'm looking for everything that I can to cut the cost of gas because it's actually insane how much this costs. Yeah, we're just clipping coupons over here and looking for cost savings. But with Social Security going up, they've said for years and years, we hear it all the time, that Social Security is going to run out before we get to benefit from it as at our age. And I'm really sad for us too, that we're paying into this system. We're paying our tax money into the system, and I would do whatever I can to help elderly people out, but we're giving the government the money and trusting them to manage it well. And I'm sorry, that just goes against my nature. I just can't trust it.
The increase tells me two things. One, you should not plan on having Social Security. Yeah. So just go ahead and plan differently for your retirement. Number two, it tells me that no matter what anybody says in the federal government right now, or in politics, inflation is real, and it's real enough to increase the cost of living that much for Social Security. Then it's absolutely real for American families. And it's just evidence, I think, that shows that this is not because of the pandemic. Like, I think that's what a lot of people, this is because we pumped a bunch of stimulus money into the economy. And then we've just been letting inflation go up and up. And then they think that because they're raising the interest rates, that that's somehow going to curb inflation, when all it's going to do is send us into a recession. Exactly. If we're not already there, which, you don't really feel it until you're already in it. So it's very possible that it's coming, but it's done nothing to curb inflation, because what they haven't solved is that, like the baby formula shortage, cost of things are going up because there's a shortage of them.
Right.
There's not enough of it.
Right.
There's not enough of the products to get out to people that, the prices aren't going to go down. There's not enough housing inventory. There's not enough of actual products out there for people to buy. So inflation is going to continue to rise no matter how much they hike up the interest rate. It's just going to be more expensive.
It's only going to be more expensive if you don't believe her. All you have to do is Google inflation cycles, and you'll see charts and graphs of over time how inflation has gone, and it is higher now than it has been in modern history. So that's,
and I feel like this is not rockets. Like, I know that I am not an economist by any stretch of the imagination, but like, even I can see, like, and I'm not blaming any particular person or party, but like, even I can see, like, this is a very good case study into what happens when you print money and you pump it into society, and you disrupt our supply chain. And I'm not saying that there's any quick fix to it, but we have to understand the problem, or we're never going to be able to start to work towards a solution.
Yes. So for everybody who is celebrating and making memes about those stimmy checks that were coming during the pandemic, this is a direct consequence of that we diluted the economy. This is a direct consequence.
We did. Now things cost more forever and ever. And guess what's not coming? More stimulus.
More stimmy money. Yeah, that's not good.
Well, it didn't matter during that. Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. It's going to be tough, I think, for a little while for folks. And
you tighten up.
You have to tighten up, and you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, it's going to be 2008 all over again, I'm afraid. That's not.
I know. I feel like our generations have been through so much already that.
So much.
I'm like, okay, well, here we go again.
I would love to. I saw a meme on the internet the other day that said, I would really love to stop living through historical events.
Yes. Like, I think, we've been through, I graduated college in 2007. And so, like, right when literally the job market.
Yes. Was a disaster.
Yeah. A disaster. And like, people like getting high school jobs were people being laid off from other jobs. So like entering the job market was not fun. So I also feel like there's some sort of resilience in our generation too, that like, okay, we've seen this before.
We're going to make it work.
We're going to be okay. Like, we're going to make
it work. We're going to figure it out. One thing that our generation,
frustrating though.
Oh, so frustrating. I'm that meme that has like the red, or the emoji that has the red face with the censored bar across the mouth. Every time I look at Twitter, it gets so mad. One more thing that our generation is having to say goodbye to, like cheap gas and everything that we liked at the grocery store that we didn't need, is the iPod.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the iPod. This makes me so sad, and also so old.
This is so sad. Apple has done away with the iPod. I don't even know what to do with this news, because I had a pink iPod mini, I had a black iPod video, my sister had a shuffle and a touch. I mean, we've had the iPods. That was a staple of my teenage years, of my adolescence, me and my angsty music in the backseat of my parents' car.
That also makes me feel slightly old, because in my teenage years, I think I was hooking up my cassette tape in my car to the adapter so I could play my burned CD that I
You were only
burned
like
off
6 years. You were only 6 years ahead of me. Okay. I had a cassette, I had cassette.
A lot happened in those 6 years with
happened in those 6 years.
A lot happened. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've gone through the entire technology change, like, and I'm sure that's how my parents feel too. But I started with cassette tapes, and then went to CDs, and then burned CDs. And then, if you weren't wealthy enough to get the iPod, I had the MP3 knockoff player.
Yes. And they were so thick. I had one too first. It was so thick.
It was like holding a boom box above your, on the side of your head.
So big.
Which I don't even know if some of the people watching, this also makes me feel old, are going to know what a boom box is, because that's shocking in and of itself. Now everything is just on. Now I don't even I threw away a bunch of DVDs the other day. And I donated them. But got rid of them. And then I was like, maybe I should have kept them. Maybe they'll be worth something.
Collector's items.
I did keep all my Disney VHSs. They're in the basement. So
we have those too. We have drawers. My parents built custom drawers into our entertainment center with VHS slots. And we still have all the Barney and Disney VHS tapes.
Yeah, I've got everything back to I don't know, Bambi. So
yes.
But I'm like, I don't even have a VCR, so I don't even know. But I want
to play this.
Kids, and I'm like, I bet if I put that thing in a VCR, it's gonna start smoking.
It's on fire.
Yeah,
for sure.
But I'm keeping them because the nostalgia of it. And you can tell the ones I really liked, like Little Mermaid, is about broken in half. And
the case is all tattered. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
that's so good. Well, I'm sad about the iPod, because it feels like we're saying goodbye to that part of our history. And I know I have everything I need on my phone. I got all my tracks and all my streaming things now, but man, there's just something about the little click, 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 click when you spin the wheel on the iPod and click the center button. There was just something about it. And I get it. They gotta trim the fat, but it's so sad.
I need to take my old one out. I think it's somewhere. I know I have my first iPhone still. And I need to dig that. It has tape on the screen because it's shattered, but I need to dig it out and see what music is on that bad boy.
What were you listening to?
I'm sure it'll take me back pretty far. And also tell me how bad of music taste I have.
Oh, I used to get on, there was this forum online called Punk Disasters, and it was for Blink-182 fans. No, Stephanie, this was me in high school. It was called Punk Disasters. It was for fans of emo music, and people would put remixes of Blink-182 songs that they would make on there, and I would download them to my family's computer. That computer had so many viruses because of me downloading music from a forum called Punk Disasters. But I was
also all committing felonies or misdemeanors, because everybody that I know is downloading music off Napster. And what was the other one? It was Napster. LimeWire.
Yeah.
Until they finally started cracking down on people. And I was like, we don't want anybody showing up.
We don't want anyone coming to the house.
No more.
Miss Dawson, your son or daughter has brought us to this house.
Has downloaded 1,000 Blink-182 remixes.
I was about to say, your kid has 20,000.
She's committed about 1,000 felonies, so we're gonna have to take her away now.
We're taking her in. We're booking her. That would happen.
These were downloading and paying for them now. So
yes, we're streaming them. I still buy CDs. I keep CDs in my car to really help out the bands that I like. Which I know is so antiquated, but I still do that. Gotta help out the bands. Well, Steph, it was really fun having you on today. We got to talk about little things. You got to really just get all that rage about the formula shortage out. I love it.
It's tough out there. It's like the Hunger Games.
It is like the Hunger Games. I'm gonna go to Alabama. I'm gonna find you some formula. We're gonna get you that formula.
No, I won't say that. If anybody can find, I'm just Because I don't want to take from any other moms that need it. So like, I don't want to hoard it, but yes, Taylor, you know what kind of need.
I got it. I got a picture of it. If anyone's interested, if anyone sees formula out there, DM me. I'll tell you if we need it or not.
Thank you. We've got like a whole Facebook black market trade going on. So just let me know.
I'll help with that. I can help facilitate. I'll be the formula bookie or whatever you would call it. That's great. Thanks for joining me, Steph, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.